It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
All right. Hi, guys. Another episode. And I'm so thankful because today I have my friend Amanda joining us. And welcome, Amanda. Yay!
Yay,
So
you.
you're welcome. And so Amanda and I, it's kind of cool because we met years ago when we worked together in a school. And that was at Prairie Waters. So it was a long time ago. And then we kind of went different ways. And then we reconnected a few years ago through dance. Like we've been friends on Facebook and we connect with each other and chat with each other and leave comments. And what's kind of neat is we have similar interests, Reiki, exercise, dance, just I think that whole positive outlook on life and just I think with you and with me and with other people I've had on too, it's struggles that we've gone through, but yet we still maintain that positivity and maybe there've been some down times, but we get over that. And it's kind of that I really admire about all of the people I've had on so far is just them sharing their stories and things. So basically this is just for you, Amanda, to just kind of share your story and tell us a bit more about you and your passions and what's your jam and what you love and what fires your soul.
All right. Wow. Yeah, there's so much. And we were just saying beforehand that I can talk and talk and talk, and I hopefully won't go around in circles and come back to something later. And, maybe there might even be a method into my madness when I talk too, because sometimes everything sort of interconnects and ends up relating in the end. But one of the things that I remember when we first met, you were so welcoming, and I loved it because it was a school, a French immersion program that you were teaching and you're still teaching. And I went through a French immersion program, so I speak French, but as the years go by, it becomes a little poorly. So I wasn't as good. So I was so excited to be able to have people that I could talk with, which was so nice. And you were one of those teachers there that reached out, and then we found out we had so much in common with fitness, with Reiki, and everything. So many natural ways to help with health and wellness. And so my passion is everything health and wellness. And so I know that we have similar stories as well, in that we found a lot of these things that worked for us and resonated with us, and these groups and different support systems that resonated with us because we have issues over and above things that the medical system can fix. So if you have a cold, you can take medications. If you have an infection, you can take medications. But when you have an autoimmune disorder or disease, it's very much different. Or if you have issues and all the tests come back normal, but they say you've got this, so let's just throw you on antidepressants to make it all better. And like you said, it's all those things, reaching that rock bottom and just thinking, is this it? Is this how my life is going to be? Am I going to be in constant pain all the time? What is there that will work, that will help me? So first things first was nutrition. I found out about nutrition. Now, I've always been active. I've always been into sports. I've always been that kid hanging from the tree upside down, so I've always been active. I've always been out there. I was that tomboy running around all over the place. I loved to play sports. I got into gymnastics. And then I got into competitive equestrian. But then after that, I became an old gym rat. Like, I think when the first gyms opened, what was it called? Fitness Unlimited, I think it was. Okay. And it was a big franchise. It was one of the first big franchises. I was like one of the first people that signed up. So I definitely became an old gym rat, and I loved it. So much so that later on, that's all I did. I went to the gym. The gym was wonderful for me. I could stay in shape. it was a good way to release tensions of the day. But then I started to, I had ended up with a lot of health issues that we didn't know at the time. So I battled with anxiety and depression, which was a very lonely time of my life. I didn't have that much of a support group because back then mental health issues were very much, they were looked down upon and suck it up and, get over it, and everyone feels sad. And that was a really hard time for me. I was pulling my hair out. I was taking medications and feeling sicker. I would reach out to people, even people, and this is the hardest part, even people that I found out were suffering from anxiety and depression. I would reach out to them and they'd be the first person to shut me away and tell me, get over it. We all have our problems. And it's like, I know, but I figured we could hold each other's hands. I don't know, which people are doing now. And it's beautiful. I love to see that. But I felt that there was something else out there, that just taking medications that made me feel more sick and weren't really helping really with the anxiety and depression. So my very first, it was back, mid-20s, that I found a book called Food and Mood that really explained a lot of the things that are really coming out now more and more and more with neurological sciences with regards to mental health and wellness. So it really explained a lot about the functions of the brain and the function of the nervous system. And so it was wonderful. And it completely changed my life around, and it opened the door to other things. So I found more, not that and here's the big thing. A lot of people think that I don't, because of what I do with my work, that I don't really do much with the Western medicine system. And that's not true. I have a great respect for the Western medicine system. It is very much needed, and there's been so many amazing advances that have happened with it. However, I'm the type of person that says we still need to take care of ourselves. We can't just rely on the Western medical system because it becomes overburdened, as we can see what's happening right now with COVID. And that's fine. So take care of yourself now. Do what you need to do right now. Eat healthy, exercise, practice mindfulness with meditation or with yoga, or and also find other healing modalities. And Reiki was one of them that was like a next step evolution for me. So bringing that all in together, because here I go. Bringing that all in together, it was all really started with nutrition, eating healthy, eating well. It ended up not being enough because a lot of the issues that I did had to do with some of the things that I thought were nutrition. So wheat, it turns out I'm celiac, so I can't eat wheat. And I was eating lots of whole grains and lots of things. And that was a real learning curve because back then, again, it was the same thing. There wasn't a lot of information out there or food. And then my husband's, my in-laws bought a vitamin store. And so I got to work there, and that was awesome. So I learned a lot about different supplements and vitamins and when to take them, when not to take them, what should we take, what shouldn't we take. It's still a guessing game. So how do we know which ones we need to take? We had a gentleman that came in to the vitamin store that did live and dry blood analysis. And I found it so fascinating because I do have a science background, because that I was going to become a marine biologist of all things. But so I had to take I had to get my science degree. So I've got just a 2 years general science, majoring in marine biology, but I ended up going on to different things. But it still fascinated me how you could take the blood and find out all these amazing things that are going on, imbalances based on nutritional and lifestyle factors, how they come into play, how your blood cells respond to your nutrition and lifestyle choices, and also how your natural flora, so the terrain that the blood is suspended, how that is all taken care of. So it fascinated me so much. Later on, I decided to get my live and dry blood certification, level 2. I work in a clinic right now, and I help people to determine when things aren't going right, even it as a support to, say, for example, if they already have a condition that is being taken care of in the medical community, I can work with them to make sure that they take safe supplements or healthy alternatives, things that don't have a contraindication to what they're doing and that will actually work for them. So they're not just taking something that they don't need. So then, yeah, and then from there, there's all so I ended up with a cyst in my spinal canal that they found later on. I was having all sorts of neurological issues, probably from multiple car accidents in which I ended up with a lot of soft tissue damage. I was also an equestrian, I was also a gymnast, so there's lots of injuries that are involved in there. But I ended up with what they call syringomyelia, which is a cyst that runs down the spinal canal, and it causes all sorts of different neurological symptoms and effects. And so it became really hard. I actually couldn't walk. I was using a cane, and I couldn't enjoy life the way I used to be able to. And that, again, same thing. I was in a space where, like, this is really hard. I don't know what I can do. And once again, the doctors wanted to put me on antidepressants because they are shown to help with neurological issues. And I was like, no, I don't want to do antidepressants. I fulfilled the prescription, but I never took them. So from there, it was, okay, what helped with me in the past? Let's go back and try nutrition. Let's go back and see if there's anything I can do. I was actually pretty much resigned that this was going to be my life. I was going to be using walking sticks and not being able to run and do all the things that I love to do or loved to do. So my mom started the paleo diet. And it was amazing for her. Like, she had amazing results. And I thought, okay, well, she had this big book that I went and read through, and I was like, okay, what could it talked about the science behind it. It talked about the theory behind it. And back then everyone was like, oh yeah, we're eating like our Paleolithic ancestors. And well, really, no, we're not. But what we're doing is we're just taking a lot of the crap that we do eat out. And it was mostly just meat and vegetables that I was eating. And I cut all the stuff that, that we think is healthy. Like, we have yogurt now. Everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating yogurt. And it's like, okay, get me started on yogurt as a health food. Anyway, go ahead, eat your yogurt, but it's not a health food. But it, then I started to feel better. I started finding like the numbness and tingling that I once had. I was like, I can feel my face again. I can feel my fingers again. I'm not shaking anymore. I can talk again and form sentences again. I don't need to have my cane anymore. And that was fantastic. And it helped to a point, and I made amazing breakthroughs. And now I was like, well, what else can I do? Well, then a yoga studio opened up out here, and I was friends with the owner. And she had said, I had asked her, do you think yoga will help? And she says, of course it will. So I started with restorative, and it was wonderful. And I learned how to move again. I learned how to go within and find myself. And all of a sudden, changing the nutrition, finding yoga, and starting to integrate some of the practices and the philosophies, I just opened all these doors. Suddenly, I was healing, and it was fantastic. And it wasn't with medications, it wasn't with invasive surgeries or anything. It was all with my own discoveries of what my body could do, releasing blocks and healing. And then the next thing was Reiki. So that's a very interesting way how I found out about Reiki. And so, yeah, I know. Sometimes it's just, you hear this thing, you should do Reiki. And I'm like, I don't know what Reiki is. And it wasn't a person who told me this. And I'm like, what's Reiki? So I went, and I actually went to my yoga instructor, my yoga mentor. And she had said, I'm a Reiki master. I can attune you. So I went, and I was like, that's crazy. Okay. So I got attuned. And then from there, things started to progress, and I was like, there's more to this. Like, I started doing Reiki. I did Reiki with you, I believe.
Yes, you did.
And I did, and I loved it. And I just had such good feedback, and it is such an amazing tool. And one of the things that people have to realize is that that anytime, you know, you get a lot of people who say, well, I don't believe in it. And it's like, do you pick up bad feelings from people sometimes? Like, can you just talk to somebody and you can pick that vibe up off of them? That's Reiki. That is your own inherent ability to receive and understand vibration that is out there. Even with the heart, they have measured the resonance of the heart to be with, you know, I think it was 10 feet.
I think it's
or,
three,
or was it
3 to 6 for heart math, and that's the big premise of heart math, is that that coherence and things. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So that, yes, it is, and those connect. And so a lot of times it's like, that's fine. You know what? Reiki works whether you believe it does or doesn't. However, the belief in receiving Reiki and just opening up to receiving Reiki makes it just that much more special and that much more effective. So it's a fantastic tool to go along with medical procedures to help calm the stress of going into an operation, so that you can move into a sense of deep relaxation and then allow what needs to be done. And then the healing afterwards, so the recovery afterwards. There have actually been and more medical research coming out that it has been highly beneficial in the recovery process, and part of the recovery process for people after having any sort of medical treatment. So much so that there are some hospitals that do have Reiki practitioners that do work there and work with patients. So I'm sitting there going, yay, that's wonderful. So so self-Reiki on myself, also going to my own Reiki mentor to get my own monthly top up is fantastic. So when not only just receiving Reiki, I find that whenever I find something that works for me and has brought great success for me, I want to share it. So, and I want to study it more, and I want to practically use it more and connect with it more. So I am a Holy Fire 3 Karuna and Usui master. And so what does that mean? It means not only do I get to give you the modality, which is Holy Fire 3, Karuna and Usui are two different branches of modality, where Usui I find to be the masculine energy, Karuna I find to be the feminine energy. So it's wonderful to bring them both in together into a treatment. And then from there, I can either be a practitioner or I can ignite people into Holy Fire 3 so that they can do self-Reiki on themselves, friends and families, on their food, on the plants, everything. And you don't have to have any sort of religious background or belief, because it isn't a religion. It isn't a belief system. It is a path for spiritual advancement and alignment and healing. So whatever religion you are, Reiki will help to actually connect you to it on a much deeper level. So it's wonderful. And you didn't know it was going to get all spiritual.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. That's this is all my jam. So it's like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so I call myself a healing arts practitioner as well, because I then moved into more of the shamanic healing techniques. So with the shamanic healing techniques, we do a lot of journey work. So this is going into a different space and a different place, and without drugs. So you learn, so the method that I use is called the drum journey. So I've been very fortunate to be working with, I have an elder who has passed down her learnings to a whole group of us who are non-Indigenous people, but have dedicated ourselves to the culture and the traditions, because that's what we resonate with, and that's what we found. And we want to be respectful rather than appropriating any sort of this culture. So I follow it very much so, and I have my elder. So based on those teachings that have been passed down over to me, the drum journey is one of them. And then working from there, I can actually, one of the fantastic things with the shamanic healing techniques is with Reiki, we can bring balance and we can bring this energy in and we can bring healing in. With a shamanic technique, we can actually find and locate intrusive energy, so blocks, help to work through the blocks, understand what the blocks is, and bring meaning of those blocks wherever they are to the client. Because sometimes in order to heal, you need to understand what needs to be healed. You can say, I've got a headache and I want my headaches to go away. Well, the headaches might be caused by something else other than just a headache. It might be something that happened in the past. It might be something that you're doing to yourself today, unresolved issues, and that you hold them inside your body. So once again, with the whole mental health movement and neurological sciences coming in and finding the connection of the vagus nerve, not only just to our reptilian brain, but also what we call the jellyfish brain, which is something over and above what we have, that into our peripheral nervous system, into all our different chakras, all our nerve bundles. And the vagus nerve is almost like is partially that memory center, so, rather than the brain. The brain, I always say, is like the Rolodex of all your experiences, and it's held there. But all your experiences are brought from all these different nerve bundles, which in Eastern spirituality, and actually it's even in their medicine, is the nerve bundles are the chakras. So Western medicine, a lot of times people think that the chakras are something that is not really made up, but more on a spiritual level, but it isn't. It's a physical description of our different nerve bundles. And the root chakra with the adrenals, and the the sacral chakra with the ovaries or the testes, or up over into the solar plexus, they are all connected to a different one of our whole endocrine system. So it's just so interesting how what depends on the type of trauma that we endured is actually associated with one of those different chakras. I could go into a lot of detail, but I won't, because that'll take up more than 30 minutes.
That's okay.
But it's held in our it's held in our vagus nerve. Our body keeps score.
Yeah.
We hold trauma in these areas. And that's one of the beautiful things with the shamanic healing, is that we can go in and we can actually find when and where and how that trauma affected you, what kind of block it has. Did it turn into intrusive energy? Is that intrusive energy taking a life of its own? Is it throughout your whole body rather than just one place? Did you experience a soul fracture? Does that soul fracture need to be repaired and brought in? And so that's the shamanic healing techniques that come in there as well.
And it makes me think of, when you're talking about that, true, right? It's that book, The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And that's a fabulous book. I'm actually going to ask you, Amanda, if you don't mind as well. I think what I'll do with our chat is I'm also going to put in a link with that book. Yes, that's it. It's fantastic, guys. So there's that one. And what I'll do too, Amanda, if you don't mind, is I'll ask you about that food and mood book that you were talking about. Oh, and that one too. Yeah. If you can send me the info and I'll add it to our conversation. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it, is you brought up so many really incredible points, and there's so many. I mean, guys, you can see how Amanda would be fantastic to go see and work with, because she's my friend and I love her, but I've gone just for my things too. And it's been so cool to see. And when I think about, you were talking about when you were walking with your walking stick and your cane and thinking I could totally relate to that too. But it's interesting how the theme again of we need to be proactive. We need to assume our role as primary caregiver in terms of we need to advocate for ourselves. And again, it's when you're in a position at, you know, the age that we were both at when we have our major issues, it's a case of I will do anything and everything, and I will try alternatives. I will be open. I will have an open spirit and open mind to anything, because there has to be something out there that's going to help. So I think that that's kind of a neat part too, is that you, when you're not necessarily in the situation, you might think, oh no, I would never do that. But once you happen to have something happen, all of a sudden it's like, I will try everything under the sun. I will do what I need to do, because this is not the way I want to live. Right. So that was a good point. And then with the blood analysis, I thought that was so fascinating when I came to see you and you did that. Can you explain just a little bit more what's involved? Like how, like if I came to see you, what would you do?
Okay, absolutely. So when you come to see me, it's actually a very simple process. Like I do have some people that come along and they offer me their arm, and I'm like, no, it's not that way. So you're there with me in the room. I have my microscope right there, but I also work in a clinic as well. So you would come to see me and you sit through the whole process, and I talk you through it and I walk you through it so you can actually see what's going on. So you would come in. I always ask people not to eat 3 hours prior to coming in, but to stay hydrated. That's very important. So stay hydrated, but no food before you come in. And mostly, I'll explain that in a moment why, is that as soon as you eat, your body starts to release enzymes. It starts to release all sorts of different things. Your body is going through a lot of system processes when you eat. So what I want to see is what's going on when your body's not in that process, because I want to see how your body has responded once it's already gone through the digestive process and it's just functioning on its own. Okay, so no digestion, just to see how it's functioning on its own once it's gone through that whole digestion process. So you would come in and I take just a poke of blood from you. I have individual use lancets, and I just take a poke and I take 2 samples, one for the dry blood and then one for the live blood. And we, as the dry blood sample is drying, we go through the live blood process. So I bring it up in this microscope that I have. Is called dark field microscope. So the light reflects on the slide much differently, like at a different angle. So the background is black and the cells light up. So I can actually see inside the cell as well, as it lights up the terrain and the natural flora within the terrain. So I can take a look and see, is there, some of the things that I can see is the shape of your cells. Are they all uniform in size? Are they free floating and bouncing nicely off of each other? Or are they coined up on top of each other in a rouleau fashion? Or are they honeycombing together, which can mean different things? It can be anywhere from digesting proteins incorrectly to bile insufficiency to also in my case, and what I learned and found out on my own that got me over to the doctor was blood clotting as well. So, and also circulation. And then from there, also taking a look at the terrain and seeing how the natural flora is in there. So after we eat, and that's really important, after we eat, our bloodstream is flooded with little symphotites that swim around and help to grab micronutrients and deliver them at a cellular level to all the body parts. Are they still in there? They should dissipate after 3 to 4 hours. If it's still a lot of them in there, then that might take a look and see what is your diet? Is it highly acidic? And that a lot of times, if there's any sort of protein digestion issues, we'll probably see a lot of symphotites. How is the liver functioning? Is the liver functioning optimally? Are you digesting your B vitamins as well as you should? So those are just some of the things that will come in there. Hormonal aspects as well, viral function. So I also can see how your white blood cells are forming, how they're behaving. So for myself and for other people with an autoimmune reaction, I will see certain white blood cells in there, monocytes in particular, as the eosinophils. I'll actually see them in there in more abundance than needed. So those are just some of the things that I will see in there. So we can also bacteria over growth as well. So we have on and around us hundreds and hundreds of thousands of different mold, fungus, and bacteria that usually work with us. Are they in check, or is something going on that's causing them to overgrow? And also iron is another big one too. We get a lot of people coming in saying, I'm anemic. I'm taking iron pills, but they're not helping. Well, maybe you're not absorbing the iron as well as you should. Maybe the issue might be somewhere else. So that's some of the things that we can see with the live blood. We move into the dry blood, and the dry blood, so because there's so many different elements in our blood will actually dry in layers, in rings, because like the heaviest of a settlement, so say for example, if you have metal toxicity or chemical toxicity built up in the system, will be in the outer rings, and then it goes in and in and in. So different cells from different areas will dry differently on the slide. And then I can tell and see, okay, we've got inflammation holes in the bowel area. So that tells me that you've got bowel inflammation. Here are some things. We'll take a look at your diet. What are you currently eating? Let's switch over, and I'll usually put people onto a nutrition plan that would work for a month, just to help bring inflammation back down, integrate certain supplements that they would use during that time, or herbal remedies. I do a little bit more with herbology or some homeopathic remedies. And then we would have a follow-up to see how things are going, to see things coming back under control. Whatever it was that we went through, whatever nutrition plan and supplement plan that we went through, we would do that as well. So and also depending, like if I see somebody who is highly stressed, I might recommend Reiki, yoga. So all those wonderful things as well.
That's amazing. Thank you. And I find the blood stuff so fascinating, because again, you don't realize, like, that there's so much information, and our body is just so intelligently designed, but you don't realize everything that's actually going on, all of the things that are behind the scenes or under the scenes, if you will, until you learn about this. And I just think it's so fascinating and amazing how much you can see from that.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. Like, I mean, you could sit there and talk about it all day, but really, yeah, there's a lot going on in there, and trying not to confuse people, because it's little bits and pieces at a time that you want to work with people. So I know that often, and with the live and dry blood analysis, I don't want to overprescribe people. I use prescribe loosely. Supplements to people, because I know that some people like that do live and dry blood analysis. And the lady that I took over her clinic clientele, they had a lot. I would look at their files and I'm like, well, she's used supplements, homeopathic and homeopathy, for all the exact same things. So people were taking 20 things. And it's like, look, you do one or the other. You do supplements, or you do homeopathic, or you do homeopathy. And that always depends on the person, what would work best for them. And a lot of people came back and said, yeah, no, I didn't do it all because it was just so much. Start with the core, work with what, sometimes I have people come in and they just have a little bit of a candida overgrowth. So all I need to do is say, let's take care of the candida, and I bet you'll start absorbing your B vitamins much better.
Right. That's amazing too. And that's the thing. I think sometimes people are fearful if they think, oh, they're going to tell me I need to get all this stuff, or I need to throw all this out or do that. And as you mentioned, like sometimes it's just start slowly. It's a little tweak. Let's see what we can do food wise, because I mean, so much is gut and microbiome. If we clean that up, let's see what we can do and then go from there. So I love that too, that it's that approach as opposed to here's all your stuff kind of thing. That's awesome. And I think what I do too, Amanda, if you don't mind, I mean, I don't know if I know you're busy, so I'm not sure if you're still taking clients, but if you're okay with it, I'd love to put your contact info if people are wanting to find out about dry blood analysis or Reiki or any of the other amazing things that you do. Yeah, if that's okay with you, I think that'd be great.
Absolutely, I'll do that for sure. And I know that a lot of times when I talk to people, like I come on here and it's like, oh my gosh, that's so much. You do so much. And I know before with people, it's like, well, you need a niche. And I'm like, you know what? I am the niche.
Yes.
Because what will happen is people will come to me and I will sit down and say, you know what? Let's just have a 30-minute free consultation. Just come and talk to me. Yeah. Tell me what it is you're looking for. Tell me what it is that you're going through. Mm-hmm. I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear what's going on in your life. Mm-hmm. And then I can say, look, you know what? One of these might help you. Yeah. So you know what? Why don't we try Reiki? Let's bring this in. So that's what it is. Like, I don't see myself as here having all these different things. I see myself here and I have this nice toolbox around me that I can say to people, all right, let's find what will work for you.
And you know what, that's a really neat way to think of it, because I think kind of that's without expressing it, that's kind of how I think of myself too. It's like, oh, well, I could do this, or we could do this or this or this, or go this way or that way. You're absolutely right. It's we're at the heart of it. And these are some of the different gifts that we can bring to help people depending on what it is. And I think that's exactly it too. It's taking the time to establish that connection with someone and to just kind of get the vibe and learn about them. Because I think that a lot of the times I'm so thankful. I have an amazing rheumatologist. I have an amazing GP, but I've also, and you know, the specialists that I've dealt with over the years have been phenomenal, but I've also been on the other side where I've been with someone who I've walked out not feeling heard, valued, understood, and it was horrible. And I felt even worse. It was another thing. And it was one of those where I thought, am I just, you know, disillusioned? Like, am I completely out there? Meanwhile, no, it was just that there was so much missing from that I really needed, right? That's so important and key. So yeah, this was I'm so thankful you decided to say yes. Thank you. I so appreciate this. You were awesome. So,
oh my God,
you were fabulous.
I don't put myself out there very much.
And you know what? We're recording and yeah, I love it. And that was kind of my goal with this. Sorry, I'm getting loud. That was my goal with this was this is kind of out of my comfort zone, but it was on my heart for so long. And I thought, I just know such amazing people that have so many different gifts, and I want to share those people with everybody. So this is awesome. So thank you so much. I'm so appreciative.
And I love that you kept talking about heart, because that is just like where we need to come from. We need to let go of here and we need to come from here. Lovely. That nice, beautiful gray coming all the way down of all the different chakra colors. But yes, so that's why I renamed my business. So I was starting a whole new this year, Heart Song Healing and Wellness.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Everyone has a song in their heart just waiting to be sung.
That is, Amanda, that's fantastic. I love that name. So guys, I'll be sure to, people, everybody, humans, I'll be sure to put it in the chat. Yeah, everybody, I'll be sure to put it in the chat. Amanda's contact info, as well as I'll chat with her and we'll put the titles of those books in there too. I think that would be awesome. I think people would really enjoy that. And if you
many wonderful books, that's my
I know, right? It's like the list goes on and on.
Library behind me.
I love it. So guys, yeah, if you've got any questions or comments, we would love to hear your feedback. And until the next time.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.